Hey, welcome to Al About Cinema. I'm Al. Today we are talking about match cuts. Match cuts are edits that connect two shots together by movement, feel, composition, or sound. There's a lot of different types of match cuts. Today we're going to be talking about cut on action, graphic match, sound bridge, and natural transition and wipes. Let's start with the simplest, a cut on action, okay? You can see cut on actions mostly in fight scenes, in chase scenes, that kind of thing. Cut on action is basically where one movement goes through multiple shots. So through 3 or 4 different shots, we see a single movement.
Would you please remove any metallic items you're carrying, keys?
This is a cut on action. We start seeing Neo open his coat in the master shot, and then in an insert shot, we see him finish opening his coat. In many ways, a cut on action is part of continuity, right? We're talking about cutting from a master shot to an insert shot in the middle of an action. So why cut in the middle of an action? When we only cut before and after an actor's movement, the edit can come off clunky and have an unnatural flow. Cut on actions add to a feeling of continuity and can help an editor establish a pace and flow. Here, Neo starts and completes an interesting cartwheel of sorts. That's cut on action. Now let's get weird on it, okay? Those were examples of cut on actions that were continuity edits. Let's look at some discontinuity edits that use cut on action. Here we have someone who edited people's fails or falls into a death drop. This is a great example of cut on action, right? We see one action start in one shot and we see it finished in a second shot. The only difference is this is a discontinuity edit and we're actually cutting 2 people together. But the movement is what is the match cut. So you're starting to see how cut on action can cut 2 shots together seamlessly. The idea is that when you're watching a movie, we don't want to be thinking, oh, the editor made a cut there. We want it to feel like we're watching a film and we're so engrossed in the film that we don't even realize that it's edited. Graphic matches are match cuts that cut multiple shots together based on the composition of the shots. Let's look at some examples. Here in Apocalypse Now, we're going to see a graphic match between the blades of the helicopter in Vietnam to the blades of the fan in his room. Obviously setting up an understanding that this man is still, his mind is still in war in Vietnam. In previous videos, we talked about the work Baraka. Here is a sequence. The graphic matches are what connects the 2 otherwise disconnected video together. In this scene is the editor and director trying to tell us something. Let me know what you think he's trying to say in the comments. But this is a graphic match. We're connecting 2 otherwise separate videos together by their composition. They have one thing in common, and that's composition. Now this might also be an intellectual montage, which we talked about in previous episodes. There's a little bit of overlap, right? A lot of times you use graphic matches in your montages. Let's move along to natural transitions and wipes. When I first started teaching natural transitions and wipes, I didn't include it with match cuts. And now looking at it, that was really wrong of me because natural transitions and natural wipes are just another form of match cuts. We've seen wipes and transitions in our editor, in our nonlinear editing system, right? Where you put an edit like fade to white or fade to black. But you can do that naturally with somebody that's wearing a black t-shirt or a white t-shirt. Or your black dog named Booberry. Speaking of natural transitions, there's always the whip pan. The whip pan's a really fun match cut. It is where at the end of one shot, you quickly whip the tripod and you create a blur, and then the editor connects that blur to the blur of the beginning of a whip pan of the next shot. So you're seamlessly connecting 2 shots together through a blur transition. This is also a match cut. These are all examples of transitions, match cuts that you can use to get creative in your own work. Lastly, there are sound bridges. Sound bridges are fun. It's where you connect two separate shots by a similar sound made within both shots.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir. But it looks like a giant...
Dick!
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, where?
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's private.
Now, the sound could be similar, or a word could be similar, like this example.
Complete with 2 balls. What is that? That looks just like an enormous...
Wang! Pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie.
To me, it was a slave ship, taking me back to America in chains.
Here's an example of a back-to-back sound bridge.
A well-brought-up girl should be. Inside, I was screaming.
While doing research for this, I found a lot of people equate sound bridge with J-cuts and L-cuts, or split edits. And I think that there's a bit of a difference, and maybe I'm just like being a super nerd about this, but to me a sound bridge connects two separately different ideas together seamlessly, whereas a J-cut and an L-cut is like a normal continuity sequence where the video and the audio cut at separate times. For example, here's a look at a series of split edits, J-cuts and L-cuts.
Adams, here. Adam Lee.
Here.
These are split edits, not a sound bridge, because it's all one continuous sequence. We're just cutting the shot at a different time than when we're cutting the audio.
Here.
Again, maybe I'm being ridiculous. If anybody has any thoughts on this, leave one in the comment. But here's another example I saw that somebody was saying is a sound bridge. It's not a sound bridge, it's just some split edits.
Sit at your computer. You're looking for him.
Again, this is a split edit, not a sound bridge. Because we're not connecting two separate ideas through matching sound, we're just editing a sequence. Now, if we go back to our Apocalypse Now sequence that we were looking at as a graphic match with a helicopter, the sound here is a sound bridge as well. It's a sound bridge because we are connecting that sound of the helicopter to the sound of the fan, along with the visual graphic match going on. So that's the difference between a sound bridge and an L-cut and a J-cut. Oftentimes we want to connect two separate individuals or two separate ideas, and we can use a graphic match to do that. Or if we're doing parallel editing and we want to show that two things are happening at the same time, we might use a graphic match to go from one scene to the other scene. Or maybe, like in this example from Forrest Gump, we want to connect a story being told, and we connect an older guy to when he was younger.
I've worn lots of shoes. I bet if I think about it real hard, I could remember my first pair of shoes. Mama said they'd take me anywhere.
She said they was my magic shoes.
All right, Forrest.
P.S. That's an L-cut you heard, not a sound bridge. Thanks for joining. Remember to subscribe and to like the video.